Hello fellow duelists, this is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated deck profile of my Simorgh deck for February of 2023. So I do realize and recognize that this has been a very long overdue deck profile. Since Simorgh Bird of Sovereignty has been banned, I haven't really been feeling up to really doing a deck profile on this because the deck itself, it took a long time to actually, develop and actually kind of evolve and change with the times with Simorgh being banned. But I actually do think that I actually have a very good deck profile, and I hope that you enjoy it. So just remember, thank you so much for all the subscribers that I have right now. After this video, I have 333, so that is quite a bit, and that is an honor. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys rock just watching these videos. And like I always say, if it wasn't for you, I'd just be some random schmuck behind a camera, talking to himself, which, it does happen quite a bit. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight on into this deck profile. And so first off, we've got 2 copies of Simorgh, Lord of the Storm. This is the main card in the deck next to Simorgh, Simorgh of Darkness. I did knock these down to 2 each because 3 was just overcrowding it a little bit. Besides, I wanted to make room for some of the other tech cards that I have in this deck. So Simorgh, Lord of the Storm, basically, if your opponent activates, when the opponent your opponent cannot target the tribute summon card with spell, trap, or effects, and then when a spell and trap or effect is activated, quick effect, you can tribute a wind monster, then target 1 card your opponent controls, shuffle it back into the deck. So it acts as kind of like a giant Trunade, or just kind of like a unicorn, a nightmare unicorn that kind of just shuffles the card back into the deck, making it a lot easier for you to be able to clear the field, because the main purpose of the deck is to make sure that you or your opponent does not have anything really in the spell and trap card zone, so you can activate the Simorgh effects from the graveyard to special summon them back repeatedly, and then they get banished when they leave the field. And then 2 copies of Simorgh of Darkness. This is actually, in my opinion, a better version of the Simorgh card other than Lord of the Storm, but I do like Lord of the Storm anyways, regardless. So how Simorgh of Darkness works is same effect. Also, if you tribute summon a dark one monster, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. If it was there, this monster is tribute summoned or by the hand, even if it wasn't. And when a spell, trap, or effect is activated, same thing, you contribute to one monster you control to negate the activation if you do destroy the card. So Lord of the Storm sends it back, and then Simorgh of Darkness is going to make it to where it negates it. And then 1 copy of Dark Simorgh. This is kind of like a neat little tech card in here because it is a Simorgh card, very old, I might add. And it prevents your opponent from setting any monsters or a spell and trap, setting any cards whatsoever. Also, it does count as a wind monster, and you can special summon this card by discarding a wind and a dark monster from your hand, or you can special summon this by banishing a wind or dark monster from your graveyard. And then 3 copies of the new, well, I guess newer, I mean, it's been about a year or so now, Simorgh, Bird of Perfection. This card is just really, really, really good in this deck. Oh, can't even see it, it's right there. This card is really good in this deck because it allows you to get an additional summon. You can normal summon a wind monster, or normal summon an additional monster from your hand, making it very, very useful. And also, it counts as a wind and dark monster. I actually use this tech card in my Harpy deck, which I will be showing you a deck profile of that next week, and that's going to be on Valentine's Day. So I'm actually really excited about that. I think that's kind of a cute little gimmick. My Valentine, Harpy Lady deck, Valentine's Day, I guess that's like the best way. I know it's cheesy, but I thought it would be kind of cool to do that. And 3 of those actually works very well with the deck. And then you have 1 copy of Simorgh, Bird of Protection. So Bird of Protection is just in here because it does a giant Trunade all the spell and traps on the field, and it is a level 4, so it helps go into my rank 4 monsters that I have in this deck. And then 3 copies of Simorgh, Bird of Calamity. Bird of Calamity is actually a really, really good card in my opinion. So we got running 2 copies of that. Simorgh, Bird of Calamity is, when this card is normal summoned, you can send a Simorgh card from your deck to the graveyard, except Simorgh Cannon. And if this card is in your graveyard, it does the same exact thing. So every Simorgh card pretty much does the exact same thing in terms of the effect, that if you have it in the graveyard and you control no spell or traps, you can special summon this card back to the field, but then banish it when it leaves the field. And each of them have their own little tech and uses, which makes them very useful. Especially Simorgh, Bird of Bringing. Simorgh, Bird of Bringing makes it to where when this card is normal summoned, you can add a Simorgh card from your deck to your hand, except a Simorgh, Bird of Bringing, and that's really going to help you, especially because if you're wanting to go and add Bird of Perfection in there, Bird of Protection, and that will help you to kind of go into your link plays and your exceed plays. Now, this deck does not link and exceed summon really that often or use cards from the extra deck that often, but it does when it needs to, and mainly the main gimmick of the deck is to get your big bird monsters out, or to get like Barrier Statue of the Stormwind, and get Apex Avian, because I do run Swallow's Nest in this deck, the tech card, specifically for that. So then we've got probably, quite possibly, in my opinion, the best new Simorgh support since it came out a few years ago. Simorgh Bird of Beginning. Bird of Beginning makes it to where you can have an additional normal summoner set when this card is normal summoned, which is really, really good. If you have the field spell, that makes it to where you can basically lower the cost of a Simorgh monster from your hand by 1, and then you can normal summon an additional monster, meaning that you can normal summon that Simorgh monster by tributing 1 monster. And then that's it for the Simorgh cards. So let's move on to the tech cards. I have Mist Valley Apex Avian. You guys know what this does by now. This is if your opponent activates a effect, monster effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card by basically bouncing this card back to the hand, so it does become 1 effect. Obviously not as good as, you know, the Union Carrier, Mist Valley Apex Avian, and then the Thunderbird combo, but I mean, what can you do? You can't really, you know, they banned Union Carrier, they banned Bird of Sovereignty, so you gotta live what you can, live what you have with what you have. And then you got Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. This is used because I do run quite a bit of level 4s in here. This is going to lock your opponent into only being able to special summon 1 monster, so it does not really affect you that often. And then that's it for that little package. Then we're just going to be playing 2 Kaijus. We're going to be playing Godarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju, which actually happens to be one of my favorites because it is based off of Mothra from Godzilla, and that's like my favorite Kaiju monster from that entire series. It's just so adorable. Actually didn't even know it was a female until I watched the movie about 3 years or so ago. Didn't even know it was a female, and I was like, are you serious? I always thought this little thing was a guy. I didn't know it was a female. It's kind of cute. Alright, then you've got 3 copies of Effect Veiler. This is your hand trap, obviously. You do not have to run Effect Veiler. If you have Ash, you can run Ash. If you have Imperm, you can run Imperm. Whatever you choose. This is more of a casual deck, which is why I'm just running the Effect Veiler, but once again, you can run with whatever hand trap you would like. So that's going to be it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells and traps. So first we have Elbror's, the Sacred Lands of Simorgh. So this basically gives you 2 effects, and you can activate these at least one. You can activate these effects only once per turn for each of them. One is reveal a level 5 or higher Wind-Winged Beast monster, and then during the turn, you can normal summon the Winged Beast monster with 1 less tribute, or if you control a Wind-Winged Beast monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves normal summon a Winged Beast monster, and also makes all Winged Beasts 300 attack and defense, meaning it can basically beat over the Kaiju. Because the object for like you to give your opponent the Kaiju, the little insect monster, and then get Lord of the Storm out or Simorgh of Darkness and just beat over it, because you're obviously going to have 3,200 attack, and yeah, it's that's the main strategy of the deck, is to take your opponent's monsters, also to kind of lock them and not being able to play anything but wind monsters. And then we have 2 copies of Simorgh Onslaught. I did knock these down to 2. Basically, you discard a Winged Beast monster and add 2 Simorgh monsters from different attributes from your deck to your hand, and then you can banish this card from your graveyard to reveal a Winged Beast monster in your hand, and if you do, reduce the levels of a monster in your hand with that number by 1 for the rest of the turn. And then you can only activate the effect once per turn, so this is a way to lower the cost of those high-level monsters in your hand, and at the same time being able to add Simorgh cards with different attributes from your deck to your hand to give your deck more fuel. And then Simorgh Repulsion. So you discard a Winged Beast monster, return all cards in your opponent's spell and trap card zone to the hand, and the same thing, you can banish this card from your graveyard to reveal a Winged Beast monster and lower the cost of the hand by 1. And then this is going to be the tech card I was talking about. You've got 3 Swallow's Nest. This is a great way to get your Barrier Statue without using Union Carrier or Bird of Sovereignty. So this is like the next best thing to do it. You basically just tribute the monster and special summon the Winged Beast monster from your deck that has the same level as the one that you tributed. So obviously you would tribute a level 4 to go into Barrier Statue. And then you've got your Harpy's Feather Duster. This is going to kind of get rid of your opponent's spell and trap to keep your spell and trap card in your opponent's zone clear. And then 1 copy of Call by the Grave. Once again, these are just tech cards. You can run whatever you want. I'm just choosing to run Call by the Grave because I actually really like it and it's still valuable. And then that's it for these spells. Let's move on to the traps. So we've got 3 copies, obviously, of Harpy's Featherstorm. Nobody wants to deal with this. Harpy's Featherstorm is really annoying. You can run Trap Trick if you want to, because Trap Trick is a great tech card to be able to get this from your deck and place it face down to where you can activate it on your opponent. But I'm just choosing to run the Harpy's Featherstorm for now because I'm running 2 copies instead of Anti-Spell Fragrance. I love this card. This card is actually hilarious, especially on Pendulum players. Shout out to Star Duelist 200. I do apologize for those games that we played because I feel really bad about using Anti-Spell Fragrance and basically locking you out of your pendulums. So sorry about that, man. But Anti-Spell Fragrance is great because both players have to set the spell card before they activate it, so it kind of locks your opponent from using anything too crazy. And then that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the extra deck. So obviously, 1 Appaloosa for the effect negate. You can actually get up to 3 negates with her. You've got Boros Sword Dragon, great tech card in here. You've got Borolo Dragon. You've got Tri-Brigade Charge, the Ominous Omen, which actually is pretty easy to bring out. You've got the Desperate Doom Eagle, which is actually pretty easy to bring out. Nightmare Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. Oh, knocked my camera off the balancer for a second. I knew that was going to happen eventually. So we've got Nightmare Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. And what better way to use that than with the IP Masquerade? There. I know this is Korean. I don't care. They're actually pretty expensive. They're about $15 a piece now. So, yeah, I'm running both of those and then IP Masquerade because that's going to help you kind of go into Unicorn during your opponent's turn, have an interrupt, and you can discard a card to bounce a card back to the deck. And then the Wind Charmer, you've got that. This girl, she's actually pretty useful in this deck. 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Ferret, the Barren Blossom, which can help you get more monsters on the field. You can special summon them. And then you've got 2 copies of Great Fly. Once again, this is just a tech card because you run nothing but wind monsters in here other than Effect Veiler. And then you've got 2 copies of Link Karibo because you do have numerous level 1s in the deck, so this does actually help you quite a bit. Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. This deck is a lot of fun to play with because it actually is, you know, it may not be incredibly competitive, but for me, I actually just enjoy being able to get a lot of the giant bird, you know, monsters on the field, negate spells and traps, and being able to just kind of like swarm by using normal summon. Because it reminds me kind of like a Flunder Freeze Light. I guess this was before Flunder Freeze is the original Flunder Freeze, being able to normal summon multiple times in turn. So it is a lot of fun, and Bird of Perfection actually does help quite a bit, or Bird of Protection. So yeah, this is going to be the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it, and with that, I'll see you guys next time. Later.